Well, here's my YouTube channel. I figured I'm already starting on my Nova, so I might as well film it because I'm already going to do it anyways. I'm a little late on getting this filming thing started. I already have the motor pulled. I had an old 350 small block. So, the motor's already pulled. I got the new one apart, starting to build that, starting a whole bunch of things on that, and whoops, accidentally hit the wrong button and the video cut. But we're learning, so bear with me here. This is the start of the YouTube deal. So first things first, I already started on the motor. I've got the heads off. The heads are over there. She's coming apart. But first things first, we're doing the rockers. We're getting the trunnion kit so that these guys don't fail. I got a higher lift cam from Brian Tooley Racing. Yeah, this guy here, upside down, so that's the cam, and we got the trunnion kit, so hopefully we don't have things fail. These guys get too high lift of a cam, can't move enough, explode, and then you got all these little needles in here, and supposedly those guys will end up throughout the motor, and that's no good. So we're gonna start with that, and I've got cam, I've got new springs, I've got push rods here, piston rings, LS7 lifters, so it should be pretty solid once we're done with it. That is going in my Nova. It's a 1976 Nova. I've already started work on it. I've got, Motion Raceworks turn signal, their quick lock steering wheel. I put a cage in here. I believe it's a 10-point cage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10-point cage. Supposed to be good to 850. I haven't had it certified or anything, but yeah, I got that. Got RLB switch panel to run the whole deal. We're going with a 6-liter LS Turbo 400. Should be a pretty solid combo. I want to do twin turbos on it and see where that'll get me. Trying to go fast, so that's the goal. Over here, got a giant mess, but I've got somewhere in this box, down yonder, got a Holley Terminator X. So standalone ECU, we're gonna run it on that, and I should be able to handle everything that I need as far as boost management and actually running the motor. But alright, so back at it here. I went and I got the trunnion kit installed on all of my rockers. That's right here. They've all got the Brian Tooley trunnion kit installed, so those are all good to go. I am gonna start on this motor. I'm gonna get the timing cover off, get the cam pulled out, get the oil pump pulled off, get the timing gears all pulled off, and then I'll flip it around, get the oil pan off. I gotta get pistons out. I've got some new rings here. We'll get those all gapped so they're all good. Put the pistons back in, start reassembling the motor, get it all cleaned up, and go from there. But it's currently super cold in Michigan, and I have no insulation up here. So I've got my heater that I'm trying to run And when I run it, it's so loud you can't hear nothing. So I'm thinking I'm gonna take that tripod over there, set up a little time lapse, and just do a time lapse of this, and hopefully it works out. So I'm gonna cut to that. Alright, so now I got the first piston out. I got him out of there. I got him sitting here. I kind of cleaned up the top a little bit, so that should be good. I've got my rings set out. So now I have a paper somewhere in here that shows me how to find what I need for ring gap, because I am gonna turbo this, so it needs more ring gap. So I gotta find that paper. I'll go through the process of doing that, getting my ring gap set in here. Get this light out of the way. But yeah, get my ring gap all set. I'll use a brake hone on the cylinder. I got my ring grinder here, so I'll grind the rings down, get my ring gap all set, and go from there, see what happens. I've got 8 of them to do here, so I'll probably just do the first one like this, and then go back to the time lapse and get the rest done. So see what happens. Alright, so I got it figured out here. I found my chart that I wanted, and I'll try and pop it up for a second, but I'll read off of it here. So what we got gives you a bunch of different settings, but we're gonna go with the medium boost, 15 to 30 pounds. So that should get us good. I don't suspect we'll go over 30 pounds. And we're gonna try to shoot for E85, which it says E85 right on here. But it's gonna be our bore times 7 thousandths. So 0.007, which what that ends up with is we got a 0.028. So that's what our gap is. I've got the first of the top rings, and then that chart gets us our top and our second ring are both going to be the same gap, and then our oil ring has a minimum that it has to be. But we're gonna start with this guy. We're gonna get him. Oh, I also did some cross hatching in here with brake hone. But let's see if I can do this while holding this camera. I might have to set this down a minute. Alright, I got it. So I got my ring sitting in there, and it's not all centered. How I've always done it is I've just used the piston. Take him, slide that ring down in there. Then it's pretty nice and centered. And then it's got our little ring gap there. So we're gonna try to find some feeler gauges here. And our gap is 0.028. So let's see what we can find on these feeler gauges. And we are in inches. Let's see. 025, 026, 028. Right there's our guy. So yeah, I got, probably can't see it, but it says 0.028. Now that guy is gonna need to fit in there, which it does not. So what we gotta do is take that ring out and try and grind it just a little bit until we can get 0.028 in there. So I will do that. It's the same process for the second ring, and then all the rest of the rings on there. So I'll go ahead and get that done. probably set you back up on the tripod, get a time lapse, and go from there. Minor overlook on my part here. I'm just now realizing that the rod cap bolts on here, they are torque to yield fasteners, so they're one-time use. I did not get any more bolts or studs or anything, so I gotta order them. I don't really want to keep tearing apart because I want each piston to go back in where it came from, all that. So I am gonna stop right there. I'll order those, and then I'll probably pick this back up from there, and keep going with the motors. So I will order those, and I'll be right back on here. Alright, so it's cold here again. I'm trying to kind of do this in between when my heater shuts off because it keeps throwing some codes on the side. So I'm trying to do this in between so you can actually hear me. But I'm started on the rings again. I got ARP rod bolts to go in here, and I got all my rings laid out here. So I'm starting on the rings. We're getting them all gapped right for boost. So I got number 1 out, and then I kind of started to clean the surface here. I got to do a little bit more there, but I'm going to keep taking pistons out. I'll clean them and label them while I got them out. I'll get them all nice and labeled so that I know where they go back. I'll get all the rings gapped, and then I'll start putting them back in as I go, and then start slapping stuff back together. So I got, here is number 1. I gotta label it. I'll just write 1 right on the top so I know, and then we'll continue on with building this. It's gonna go in my Nova. In here I've got another seat to put in yet, and another set of harnesses, obviously. I've got this seat in here with harnesses already. I'm gonna take that tack off. I've got a Holley tack to put on there, or I'm gonna get a Holley dash to put on there. I've got a Terminator X. I've got a RLB switch panel here. That was giving me some issues, some intermittent issues. So I've got to figure that out. The guys over at RLB have been great. They've sent me parts to figure it out with. But what I think is happening with that is right over here, I've got this guy, and he's mounted right to the firewall, and that was for the 350 small block. Now what I think is that is causing some interference with that RLB, because what I'm having going on is my number 1 switch on there, which I can go show you guys this. But my number 1 switch just turns on and off whenever it wants. Yeah, so my number 1 switch just turns off and on whenever it wants, right here. Now, as you can see, my number 1 switch is my ignition. So what I was having is I'd be driving down the road and it'd turn off, and it turns the car off. And yeah, I can't have any of that. So right now I've got her wired up to where this blank one is my ignition. I think this guy's my fuel pump right now. And then my start button's still there. But I think it's just having interference with my CDI box, or what do they call it on here? Spark. It's the ignition system. But I think that's causing interference with that and causing it to turn on and off whenever it feels like. So I'm going to obviously take that out. That's going to go with the 350. That's for another project. I'll have that coming soon. I've got that one in the barn, kind of getting prepped, but that's going to go with that project, so I won't have that there anymore. So I think I'm just going to leave my RLB mounted right there. Now, what I had thought is I might move that to the trunk, and it might solve some of those issues, but I'm not sure. That might, I'm not sure. I'll probably just leave it there. It's just on the passenger side up under where the dash will be. So we'll leave that there for now. See if I still have those issues. If not, then I'll be good to go with it. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now with this. All right, so I'm gonna throw this in here too. I'm kind of figuring out what all I got to do to go racing this season. So first of all, I'm gonna get some new wheels and tires. These are just stock, whatever. I think they came on the Nova with steel wheels, and then the tires are pretty much junk anyways. They're starting to dry rot. They've been on here for who knows how long. They were on here when I bought it. So I'm going to get rid of those. I've got to make a firewall here because probably can't see it, but right back there, that's my fuel cell. And I've got to have something between me and the fuel cell. So I got to make a firewall there. This shifter, I think I'm going to take out and put in the next project that I got. Take that and move it right with that 350 and the Turbo 350, TH 350, whatever. I'm going to take that and move it into the new one with that. I want to get a Motion Racework shifter for this guy. Now, I've got motor and a used, supposedly rebuilt Turbo 400. That's going to go in here. We're going to do twin turbos. See what we can make. See how far we can push it. And then just go from there with that. But yeah, like I said, these tires, well, this one don't hold air no more. But they're just old, starting to dry rot and whatever. Now, I'll go to the other side. Might be able to hear this better. But what I got down here is right down on this side. I'm going to keep the leaf springs in here. We're going to run leaf springs, see what I can do on it. Now, they make some, they're Racecraft, I think, something like that. But they're called Assassin traction bars, and it replaces a mount down there and then mounts up here. I'm going to get those, and those should give me some adjustability in the traction bar, and hopefully I'll be able to go a little faster on leaf springs. That's my goal here. I think the front end's going to be stock. I want to do some upgrades to the brakes because I don't want to be going fast and not be able to stop. So probably some upgrades to the brakes. The back still got drum brakes. I'd like to switch that over, get a conversion kit, do some disc brakes, so it's got 4 disc brakes on it. And then from there, it's just going to be odds and ends. It's pretty much how it's going to be for this season, and see what I can do. I just want to keep building this as time goes. It's going to take a little bit of time to get done, but I think I can build it and just keep on going, and I'll keep posting it on YouTube. And then, like I say, I've got some other projects. This 350 small block, that's going to be for another project. I want to take that and do some events with that project, so that should be pretty cool. And then, yeah, just go from there. I'm going to try and do a time lapse here of getting the pistons and rods out of this motor. And then I'll gap all the rings and do all that stuff on a time lapse. And then that way I can run my heater. I can't talk with this big thing going because that guy is so loud you can't hear anything. So I'm gonna cut to a time lapse here and hopefully get this done and move on to the next part of this. Alright guys, it's been a couple weeks since I have been out here. I got super busy doing other stuff. So I just took some time to get that stuff done. Here I am now. I'm back started on the Nova. I've got, I went ahead and slid that guy back in there. And then I took and I've got the ARP rod bolts and some new rod bearings in there. Let's see, where are we at? Kind of got a mess going here. But I've got the pack of ARP rod bolts. We're doing rings. I've got bearings sitting here. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of do that stuff. It's still cold in Michigan, so I'm gonna do a time lapse while I run the heater because it's too loud. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and knock all of these out, get all the rings gapped, all the new rod bearings in, all the new rod bolts, all that stuff in, and then I'll pick it up after that. Alright, well, that last time lapse was another fail. I realized that I set the time to only like 2 minutes instead of infinite, so I only got the first part of me putting this all together. But I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, and I've also got 1, 3, 5, 7 all in there. I've got all of the rod bearings replaced. I've got rod bolts, ARP rod bolts in there. I put my Brian Tooley cam in there and a new retainer plate, ARP bolts here. I've got, we got this from Michigan Motorsports. It's going to be all of our timing gears, sprockets, new timing chain, and ARP cam bolts. So that stuff's gonna go in here. I don't trust my little Pittsburgh torque wrench, so I'm gonna get a nice torque wrench. I've got a 1/2 inch one for bigger stuff, but I'm gonna get a smaller one for some of the smaller stuff so I can get accurate torque specs on here. So I'm gonna wait to do that and then go ahead and start tightening stuff. All of these are just finger tight, and I don't really want to go any further without starting to torque some stuff here, so I think that's probably going to be it for this one, and then I'll start in on another video. The next one is going to be getting these heads done. I gotta take out all these springs. I've got, again from Brian Tooley, some nice valve springs, seals, all the retainers, all of that stuff that came with the cam. I've got chrome moly push rods, and I've got a set of LS7 lifters from Texas Speed. So, gonna be slapping all of that stuff in, but that'll be on the next one. And yeah, so I'll see you on the next one.